The massive problem in Overwatch 2 and how to fix it. Let's see what
Dan had said in the earlier on this watch should do more damage just because Dan is an idiot. Like, support shouldn't be doing... Like, so the problem in this game, bro, is that, like, people are annoyed in dive meta when, like, supports would get rolled by DPS. If you get dove by a flanking DPS, like a Tracer or a Genji, as like an Ana, you should die. Unless you hit your skill check of hitting the sleep dart, you should die 1v1. The biggest problem this game has right now is the fact that everything feels the same. The homogenization of the game is the biggest problem. When they reworked tanks into solo tanks, it basically became tanks became DPS. Tanks became slightly weaker DPS, but with bigger health pools. And then support, ever since they added every single...
They lost a bit of their unique identity because they had to become generalists instead of specialists.
New support they've added to the game is basically a DPS with a healing ability. I think the main thing that keeps, like, I think you're right there, the main thing that keeps Ryan, like, potentially from being shit is the fact that I think Zen is going to be, like, unbelievably broken on this patch. How on earth do you ever kill a... If you play against, like, Zen Brig or Zen Ana or any sort of hero that can help Zen stay alive, how the fuck do you ever kill a Zenyatta? Genuinely, I don't know how Zen ever does. Ryan swings to the same damage as Fire Strike. Well, they had to buff Ryan's swing damage or it breaks all of his breakpoints. It's why I don't like changing health changes. It changes heroes that like rely on breakpoints to kill people, right?
Yep, agreed.
Like,
May.
Like, for instance, like I know generally like when I put
May is like really dog shit right now because like I can't one-shot Tracer anymore. Like damage boost May from a Mercy, which helped Mercy's viability on some points. Like one-shots Widow in the head on like the sniper maps, right? Like a bunch of heroes, and people are gonna realize this. We're left behind with this patch, which is why I think it was a bad idea in general. And again, like it's trying to balance the power between all three of the roles in 5v5, which is harder to do, right? And I know it's Samito's Law 6v6, right? But like again, this is just what happened, right? The DPS role, kind of like in Overwatch 1, ironically, after they put Brick in the game, like got so bad that it was like insta-Q since the same was too great, right? Because again, the supports had to get more and more power to help compensate for the lack of an off-tank, right? But that made DPS become obsolete because nothing would die. And like it was literally double shield meta. In Season 7, it took Overwatch 1 like 18, 19 seasons of this kind of power creep to get to double shield, right? And have it be busted. I guess you could call GOATs a little bit with Brigitte. But that's what Season 7 was. The fights lasted as long as double shield fights, right? So they had, now you have to give DPS their passive and increase everybody's health pools to try to compensate for that. And like, it's just the snowball. It's the snowball rolling down the hill, right? And then now it's like, well, let's change everybody's health pools, but then a ton of heroes get left behind, right? So like, you know, again, this is why I'm not a fan of role passives and changing health pools and stuff like that in general, because it just reshuffles the board instead of like sitting down and like trying to fix the problems, right? And it's not optimal. It's better than it was before, undoubtedly. Yes, absolutely. But like, again, this is my big concern. It doesn't, like, you're not actually sitting down and solving the problem. You're just reshuffling the board, right? Which might be their strategy.
Punch them into a wall, like how much damage I need to kill them. With Ryan, I know, okay, this target's 200 HP, I need to swing him twice.
Ryan's horrible, unpickable. Ana's unpickable.
If they do stuff like that, it changes, like, and there's a lot of heroes like that. Now the breakpoints combined with the fact that everyone basically hits every shot.
And Ana might be pickable in pro play, but in ranked guys where like players don't have the discipline to not take damage, like it's going to be a tough change for a lot of like Ana players in low ranks.
Shot now on tanks.
Because your tanks are just going to take too much damage.
I don't know, man. It is what it is. I just hope they nerf Zen, honestly. Like, Zen, Zen, I've said so much, like, Zen's issue as a hero, like, is just like the fact he basically just, like, whoever you Discord just can't play the game for the entire duration of the game. Like, if you put it on a tank and you keep it on a tank, like, a lot, you're basically just not a hero. Like, if I get permanently Discorded as Doom, I basically can't play the game. And there's no real counterplay to it. Just 3 exactly. Snipers are slightly worse. I don't think that's true. I mean, Widowmaker specific. I think Hanzo and Ashe like might be worse, but I think that like Widow is better. Widow can still one-shot you in the head, right?
Yep.
And it's way easier to hit.
Yep.
You just have to make sure it's fully charged now.
That's why I don't play Doom.
I just wish that they moved like. That when they designed heroes, when they designed supports and tank heroes, they made it so that the main skill of the hero was not aim. Like, at least not aim to do damage. Because I think it's such a awful design.
So bad, bro. That's why I just don't play Doom.
I actually think Mercy's design is like fine, and like Moira's design is also like really good.
I also like, I also like this is like you're just seeing why I don't play Doom. He's just Genji now. He's just fucking Genji, bro. Like I can't stand just getting no reward for making like the best possible play I can make consistently. It's just not worth it.
As much as people hate the hero, like the worst designed supports are heroes like Baptiste, where like if you can aim well, you just shit on everyone, and it shouldn't be rewarded. Like aim skill shouldn't be rewarded as heavily.
And this is why I always say Moira should not be reworked at this point. I don't think. Like, I think Moira just needs to be made a weaker character in general in the state of the game. All she's doing is living. She doesn't have a brick wall ability that automatically shuts you down if you use it right. That's bad game design, right? That takes away from what's special of the game. But, like, this is why Frito said this on the podcast when he talked about Moira being, like, frustrating to play against. You know, she's annoying. She rewards too much. But the game feels so much better because no role that's on the field has a brick wall override ability. Override abilities like Drone, like Suzu, like Life Grip, right? Even Life Weaver's base healing, things that can't miss. Like, those are the lamest fucking things ever added to a shooter game. They make the game bland and boring because the outcome becomes fixed. What's so much fun about multiplayer games in general is that anything can happen. There's infinite possibilities, right, that could happen. But those infinite possibilities between an exchange, like how things happen, which is what makes people want to come back, is the diversity of that gameplay, right, where they can always express themselves in a different way. Like, that expression is worthless and boring when no matter what you do, you have to go through an immortality, right? And that's why heroes like Moira and Ana are so much more fun to play against than, like, Bap and Kiri. Because, again, like, it's just... the game's fucking boring when the outcome is fixed.
When you're playing support, as it is, if it's bad at play, I don't know. Like, it only really feels really bad when you play into like if you play into like Zenyatta or Ana or a combination of both, it feels really rough. But it was like that last patch. You look at the original designed heroes in the game. It was like, okay, oh my god, what the fuck happened to my health bar? You look at like the original cast of the hero plus Ana. Right, like the only support who really had aim skill being like heavily rewarded was like Zen, and Zen is considered like one of the worst design heroes in the game. No, but Lucio's aim skill was never never really rewarded that hard, right? Like by far the main skill of Lucio was his movement, which is what it should be
for average players.
What the hero's entire design is based on movement. And then you had like Mercy, who's obviously was about decision making and movement, and then Ana had like a lot of aim in her kit, but her aim was was healing aim, right? It's like yes, you can defense Ana, but her defense is never good because and the reason is because you can't headshot. When you actually get gold damage often is Lucio. I mean, okay, first of all, I don't really believe you, but the second thing, like, that doesn't really prove any point, right? Like, if Astra's getting gold damage, he's probably in a pistol lobby, and he's probably just getting a lot of his damage by booping off tanks, right? Like, Lucio's value, which is what was good, was movement and peeling and booping. That was his what he.
His damage was good though.
That's what he
at high level play. Average Lucio's did not do damage.
That's what he should be. That's his design, right? Like, he didn't have high DPS, he didn't have high range DPS, he didn't have high HPS. And single target HPS was bad. He had to decide whether he was going to heal or speed. It was a really, really well designed hero with lots of like relatively complex decision making and high level of mechanical skill without just being like a fucking Widowmaker aimbot hero.
Yeah.
Right? Jesus fucking Christ. But then, basically, like, what supports did they add after Ana? They added Moira. Okay, Moira, I actually think Moira like a pretty reasonably well-designed hero. As much as people want to I think Moira's design's really good. And then what do you have? Baptiste?
But it should have stopped at Moira. It should have stopped at Moira. Like, it never should have gone past Moira. And Moira should always be kept, like, a mid-hero at best, right? Like, this is why, like, the rework Moira stuff, like, I don't think should be a conversation. Like, Moira is a great, like, entry-level character that can output a lot, that I think they've just buffed too much over time. Because, like, again, there's some kind of massive misconception out there. And I think I reacted to Questron's video where he posted, and that got posted yesterday, where he said something that's, like, really wrong, where he said, and I like Questron, by the way, where he said that now we're closer to balancing, like, all characters to be equally viable in all the ranks. And that, like, never should happen in the game. Right? That never should happen in the game. Like, a hero like Moira should be good at low ranks, but significantly fall off once you get into Diamond and especially Masters and above, right? Because she's meant to be a character that helps people at the skill floor, but doesn't outweigh the value of more difficult heroes to play at the skill ceiling, right? And that's actually a healthy game because there's two things that when it comes to balancing a character, like making a character, there's the actual character strength and then the actual skill value of a player, right? Those things multiply together to give you total value, right? For example, Moira's multiplier at the floor, like she lets bad players get more value. It's more like a chart. I'm kind of explaining it poorly right now. I just woke up, so you're gonna have to bear with me here. But yeah, you don't want characters to be equally viable in all ranks. There's no way for you to design Widowmaker to be as good in silver as she is in GM, because the silver players can't aim, right? The same goes for Ana. Ana's win rates in low ranks let's go before this patch, right, was terrible, right? Because they can't fucking aim. They don't know how to use cooldowns. They don't know how to do any of this stuff, right? So it's better that they pick Moira and just have it be a lot easier for them. But the higher up you went in the ranks, the higher Ana's win rate got, because people were actually good enough to get value from the cooldowns, right? That's sign of a healthy game. That's a healthy skill to reward curve, because the more skill that's required for you to go into a character, right, to get value, the higher your reward should be, right? That's actually what makes the game healthy, and that's what makes people keep coming back, because it's about the journey of improvement, right? That's what it's about. If you make it so some average Joe comes on and can pick any character and get enormous value on it, right? Just like the good players, then you don't have a game special at all, because if everyone's special, no one is, right? So you actually don't want that to happen. But Moira, like, she is a good entry-level character for people to get into Overwatch, right? And that is important. That keeping that low barrier to entry is really important.
Kiriko and Lowry. Now, Brick's problem was like a whole different story, right? Like, Brick's problem was just like, Brick's issue is like they made a hero that was designed to counter dive, and they didn't think about anything else. It was the entire, like, her entire thing was like, we just want dive. We just want dive to be, like, not good. So they basically designed a hero that's entire design just shits on dive. So, like, but like, if you ignore her and you look at, like, specifically the trinity of, like, Baptiste, Kiriko, like Baptiste, Kiriko, and Lowry as heroes, like, legitimately, I would say, like, more than half of the skill of those heroes is how good you can aim your left clicks. And that is not a good design. That's not a good design support hero. Because you already have Zen who's like that. But if half of your support heroes, or like 40% of your support heroes, the main skill is how good your left click aim is in DPS, that's a badly designed hero. Like, you can maybe have one, or maybe two, that's a massive part of their kit, but not four. That's a problem. But like, I guess they didn't want support.
I think Baps is I don't know about that. Bap can weave in the damage, and like high level Baps weave in the damage. He's right. Alari is like setting up pylon and like does the same thing. Kiri can do that, not so much on this patch, but like I think her Kitsune and healing and Suzu are really good too. But like she can weave in the damage.
Supports to be boring, right? They didn't want supports to just be heal bot, which I can understand. But you look at a hero like Lucio, who's not a heal bot hero, and his design is so engaging. Like, Lucio's one of the more popular heroes in the game because he's a support hero that isn't like just a boring support and isn't just effectively a DPS. And then with tanks, you get the similar sort of problem. Like, the issue of tank, a lot of the tanks is like the spikiness of their DPS. Heroes like Doomfist on tank, Hammond.
Oh my god.
Arissa. Who else? Mauga. Like, sometimes they can fucking annihilate you, and Junk Queen as well, yeah. Sometimes they can literally like one-shot you, and sometimes they just just don't do any damage, right? Whereas like a hero like Winston, Ryan, Zarya, Sigma even, Ramatra, their damage is consistent. At least Ramatra in like Nemesis form. And that's what tank should be. Tank should have a consistent DPS throughput that's not particularly hard to land. Even someone like Zarya's tracking is pretty easy to do, like comparatively. And that's the way it should be. Because your main skill as a tank isn't how good your aim is. But like right now, I'm telling you, Doomfist, if you could have like one thing be as good as it could reasonably be, it would be your left click aim.
Yeah.
Because like you can get so many kills based on how good your left click aim is. It's crazy. And it's just not engaging. I don't want this hero to just be an aim hero. It's why I played Doomfist in the first place, because it wasn't like that.
I will say, like, CD cycling is probably the most important thing, but if you don't have good shotgun accuracy, like, you don't get value on Doom anymore. You have to be able to land your shotguns as Doomfist, or he's just not valuable. Like learning the CD cycle will help you like get good uptime, but like in order, like you have to get final blows, and that shotgun aim is just really important.
Like Sigma's design and Arissa's design, like in Overwatch 1 or like whatever. Like the problem with Sigma and Orisa is that when you play them together, it becomes super problematic. You don't find joint keeping your team strong enough to SWAT. Exactly, I agree with you. Like if you're playing support to just win 1v1s and shit, like I feel like why are you even playing support? Like when I play support in games, whenever I play support in games, the idea is that like someone's on my teammate and to make sure they cannot kill that guy. And that to me is fun. We win this fight so hard last patch, by the way. And this game's dead. I mean, okay, like if you want to know the state, if you want to really understand how bad the state of DPS is, how bad the state of supports are, look at a hero like Baptiste, right? How good his 1v1 is. If you remember if you played like the 1v1 mode, TXTXX mode, Baptiste was like a top 3 hero in that mode, and he has one of his abilities disabled.
Yeah.
To think about that,
he didn't even have drone.
Like that is crazy. But like I think you could argue like someone like you could probably argue like Echo's maybe better in that mode. Baptiste is so elite in that mode, and yet his main ability is disabled. You can't even use your lamp.
Yeah.
Like that is genuinely
He's right about
How
that.
is that in the game? Like, why are supports better than DPS in 1v1s? It's just dumb. That
Not
right
wrong.
there is the Blizzard problem in a nutshell, right there. Like, how they can justify that hero being in the game in the state he's in, that always has been. It's just everything is wrong with this game. You just like literally Baptiste is just Soldier with like, but you also deal like 10k healing per game. That'd be new. The first time I ever thought about uninstalling. It's like dreadful. They haven't addressed the issues of supports is the problem. Like, and I don't think they can at this point. Like the only they honestly like.
They can.
If you want to save this game, they actually like I don't think you can. I think the problem is that the hero design is too toxic. Like the amount of work you have to do rebalancing and reworking like almost every hero in the game. Like at this point, like genuinely the only way that you can save this game, I think, is you have to start fresh. You either have to go with a new IP and just redesign every hero, or you have to go to Overwatch 3, and you need to just and you just have to select which like heroes you want. You only bring in like 60% of the cast of the next game. I think that's like the only way you can actually save the game. And that's obviously none of those things are gonna happen. Like there is like 7 or 8 heroes that genuinely like I think like, right now you could remove from the game and it would just make the game strictly better.
Nice one, cheap stuff.
Not wrong.
Like you remove Mao.
So, okay, so it's not that like again this format also, and I know I keep coming back to this format, but it's because it's true. It's like, you know, this format forces more characters to be designed that way. Like the problematic heroes that took away from what made Overwatch 1 really special, like Mauga, for example, right? Even Rams, like what he has to do as well, like with his CD cycle being more like Sigmas, which like let's not pretend, guys. Heroes like Sigma were the problem in Overwatch 1. Heroes like Sigma were the problem in Overwatch 1. They were too good, and there's a reason why Sigma, throughout the entire time of Overwatch 2, barely had to get changed and was perfectly sustainable as a 5v5 tank. That's because individually, he was just overkitted, man. They just overkitted all of these characters, right? So if you're going to overkit all these heroes, like Baptiste, who has lamp disabled and still, like, again, in these 1v1 modes, and when these 1v1s happen, like, are better than DPS, right? Like Sigma, who caused double shield meta to happen, right? Like, all of those abilities, including his shield, his rock, like the grasp in particular, have to be insanely weak, right? So I disagree with Chipsa here. Like, you don't have to make a new game, but you need to take a step back and look at the original heroes. Like, compare Sigma to Reinhardt. 2 fire strikes and the ability to cancel pin means nothing compared to the overwhelming power that Sigma has. Like, I'm not talking about, like, what's good in the meta or what's not. Just, like, look at the character's abilities in general, right? Look at how far hero design strayed from what originally made the game great, right? It's night and fucking day. And that's another big reason, like, I'm not a huge fan of 5v5, because, again, it forces all of these tanks to be designed more like the Sigmas, right? Design more like the Balls. Compare Ball to Winston. Ball can roll in for free at least once and use his shields and just get out, right? If you jumped in as fucking Winston, dude, you just explode. You fucking exploded. And that was a fun part of the learning curve of the game, right? That made it fun. That encouraged healthy teamwork, and that raised the skill ceiling of the game to an insanely high height, right? So, like, you know, you don't have to, like, rework you don't have to, like, make Overwatch 3, right? But you do have to go in and, like, change a lot of these abilities. But that's not going to happen in this format, because this format forces those heroes to be designed, which is why I don't like it as much, which is why I don't think it's better. It can work, right? I'm not saying it won't work. I'm not saying it's going to kill the game. But the question that I always ask people about this is, like, you know, is it better? I don't think that's better, right? So you'd have to change BAP. You'd have to change carry. You'd have to change Alari a little bit. You'd have to change a lot of the tanks. But again, this is why I'm so scared to go down this path that the game's going down, because, like, we're going to get to that end of the finish line. There's going to be all this work years later, and then we're going to sit there and be like, was this actually better? And the answer is no. I don't think it's better for these kind of exact reasons. But yeah, it's, you know, it just kind of is what it is. But I don't think you have to abandon the IP to do it. I think it could be a good marketing ploy to, like, say, hey, we're taking this back to the game's original core values. But, like, it's a pretty simple thing to look at. Like, if you look at the heroes that are being designed now compared to the heroes that were designed at the start of the game or launch of the game, it is a completely different fucking game. It is completely different, right? These heroes just do more. They do more in general. They have more override abilities. They have more, like, a lot of this stuff. The DPS heroes, not as much, right? But even Sojourn with her mobility and skinnier hitbox and burst damage, right? Like, you know, it's hard. It's hard to do all that. Like, they're clearly very different, like, stronger characters. But I think particularly in support and tank, those are really where the real outliers are going to be compared to the original heroes. Like, 5v5's playable, guys. It's just not better. Like, you have to be careful with your wording.
You remove Orisa, you remove Zen, you remove Baptiste, you remove Kiriko, you remove Alari. The game just immediately gets strictly better. Would it make it? Yeah. Is that bad? I mean, Alari's not strong right now, she's kind of shit. But like, people don't understand like, the difference between like because Alari's weak right now, people don't realize how toxic and cancerous a design is.
She is. Same with Lifeweaver, by the way. Same with Lifeweaver. Like I won't lie, like the designs of Alari and Lifeweaver are insanely problematic. Like Pylon needs to get changed as an ability. It should not have 100% uptime because it auto heals, right? Lifeweaver can't fucking miss. If Lifeweaver is ever good in the game will guaranteed be miserable. Because guys, think about this when you're playing Lifeweaver, right? Playing against Lifeweaver. Playing against Lifeweaver is the equivalent of playing against an aimbotter on DPS, but for support. He can't fucking miss. So if the hero is ever strong, the game will be fucking miserable because it feels like you're playing against aimbot. He can grip them across the map. He can heal and never miss a fucking shot. So if you have half a brain and you play Weaver, like, and I enjoy playing Weaver. He's super chill. But he's super chill because he can't fucking miss, right? That hero, I've said this take. Lifeweaver should not exist the way that he is. He should not. And again, if he's ever good, the game will be in the most miserable state ever.
I don't know, like, I actually don't agree with Lifeweaver. I actually don't mind Lifeweaver's design. I don't think he's an amazingly well-designed character, but like, compared to the other support heroes they've released, he's like the best designed support hero they've added since Lifeweaver, I think. Since Moira.
Because he's weak. If he's strong, he'd be miserable.
That's my opinion. I think like his pull and his lift is like pretty reasonable. But like, I agree, like, the other two, Alari, Kiriko, is like...
Look at what he's doing.
Well, like Lifeweaver brings like utility in a way that no other hero can. Like the grip is really cool. It's a really cool mechanic. His ult is a bit boring, I think, in terms of like it's just sort of just
no,
a
it's
big
not. Grip is
beam.
AIDS.
Like that's kind of it. Pull as hard cantrip in the game. I mean, you could argue it's overpowered. Like I don't think it's that cancerous, like to me. But I think if you went through the game right now, right, and if I was to stop,
if you could interact with it in some way, it would be a lot better. I agree with that. But you can't interact.
Right, and if I was to make a new game, I'd probably rework Queen to be a DPS, rework Doomfist back to being a DPS.
I would keep tanking. I think both of these heroes should be tank because you need people to play tank. I think Queen and Doom are fine as tanks. I'd like to try them and not 5v5 though.
I'd remove Mauga, I'd remove Orisa, I'd remove Ramatra.
Mauga can also work. You just have to nerf him, like, big time. Like, Cardiac Overdrive only works on himself, doesn't work on his team. Reduce the numbers on it big time, right? Ram would have to have his numbers reduced, like his shield cooldown increased massively, like, so his uptime was lower, so he actually had some downtime. Orisa, you'd have to let her get crit through Fortify, lower her health pool, and maybe change her CD cycle, but she does have some downtime after the first usage, so, you know, that she could be okay.
Or I'd rework Ramatra. I would remove Baptiste, I'd remove Brig, I'd remove...
Bap's fine. You just got to nerf his shift and make drone be damage reduction or something like that instead of immortality field, or make immortality field his ultimate and maybe have amp matrix be on a cooldown, but way less value, tighter window like it used to be, and like increase way less. So it's kind of like the equivalent of a Torbjorn overload just on a support character. That you could do something like that, but you like, again, I think nerfing drone would be simpler.
Alari, I'd remove Kiriko, I'd remove Zinyan.
Alari just needs to have her pylon have actual downtime, have it be stronger when it's up in terms of its health pool, not how much it heals. And then I think she's actually kind of okay. Make her actually get her value from her active engagement strategies instead of like just her passive value. Kiriko, don't TP through walls, probably change Suzu to just be a cleanse as well as a heal instead of invulnerability.
Yeah, totally fine. I mean, Ramatra's design is a bit stat sticky. Remove all heroes, pretty much. And then I'd remove... I think DPS is actually not too bad. I think DPS, like, I'd probably like rework Bastion, I'd rework Torb, I'd rework Symmetra.
Hot take, chat. Hot take. I actually preferred Old Bastion. Again, like, a lot of these heroes have kind of become generalists, right? And I think Old Bastion, like, that bunker strategy was cool. It added, like, a lot of different strategy and, like, dive into the game. And I think Tank Form was a better ultimate.
I'd probably remove Sombra as probably the only hero I mean, obviously I'd remove Widow, but Season 9 was too. I mean, like I said, the issue is just like, the game is just like so, it just feels like COD, bro. Like, it's missing, like, all the MOBA elements of the game is just not there anymore.
It's an interesting video. He brought up some points that I disagreed with and some things that I agreed with. Like, you know, it is what it is. Ultimately, like right now though, like you need to build a good foundation. This is why I keep bringing up 6v6, right? Because like if you want his version of the game that he's describing, it won't ever be able to happen in 5v5 because those heroes like won't be viable. Like 6v6 allows for better design to be like that, right? Or 5v5 open queue also allows for a design to be more like that because you can pick 2 tanks, you can pick 2 of any character, right? But I think in general, 6v6 just allows for that to happen better organically. But just my opinion. A good video, you know.